Good afternoon.
Hallo, Herr Oetjen, grüß Sie.
We're live. This is a BT4Europe webinar. Welcome. I'm Mark Watts. I'm a former MEP, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar on advancing sustainability in business travel with Jan Christoph Oetjen, MEP. Welcome to you, Jan. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
And we have a couple of other special guests as well, which I will introduce first, and then we'll hand over to Jan. We have Patrick Diemer with us and Angela Leal from BT4Europe. Welcome to you both. And before we dive into the webinar, this incredibly important and very topical subject, which will be a conversation between myself, Angela, and Jan Christoph Oetjen, MEP. We're just going to invite Patrick, who is the chair of BT4Europe, just to say a very brief words of welcome and introduction about the important role BT4Europe plays in Europe. Over to you, Patrick.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. I am very pleased to welcome you to our webinar. We are BT4Europe, that is the European Network of Business Travel Associations. We represent buyers and users of business travel services on a European level. There were more than 400 million business travelers in this industry last year, and they were sent on their business trips by more than 4 million employers. An employer can be a company, public administration, or an NGO. All over, European businesses spend 185 billion euros on business travel. So it's a key industry, and it has a few priorities. First of all, it needs to become greener. And that is the topic of our webinar today, because we support sustainability in business travel. And with that being said, I'd like to finish my short introduction. Welcome again, and handing over to Angela. Please, Angela.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to have you join us today as we explore the transformation pathway for sustainable business travel. Who knows me knows I could talk for hours about this topic, but I will limit to some minutes because I'm so eager to learn more about the agenda of the European Union and how can we support this transformation pathway. So let's dive into the first point. Every transformation process needs measurables, and the green transformation of business travel is no different. So CO2 emissions should be treated as important as price, and these would help us make informed decisions and also to support the development of sustainable travel services. But to achieve this, we need clear and unified calculation methods and interoperable reporting standards. Let's talk about development. We know that in some areas, like the air industry or e-mobility, technical development is crucial. So to have a look now on a more holistic perspective on travel, let's see how can we achieve a resilient, connected, and sustainable travel industry. For sure, the technical development is essential, but more importantly is that we need to change the way we do business. More important is to have in mind that the way our travel industry has developed so far is also a bit part of the problem. And as customers of business travel, we see here and there very different levels of sustainability adoption in the market. So now, how can we use what we have? The question is, how can we use, despite of the technical development, how can we use our interaction across the industry? What can a rail operator learn from a hotel? What can an airline learn from a rail operator? How long does it take to improve a product or a service if you are working alone versus involving all stakeholders in your value chain? And this from the beginning on. We deeply believe that across industry collaboration, innovation, and end-to-end thinking are key forward. Last but not least, we need to remember that every transformation requires an integrative approach. That means sustainability must be at the core of all stakeholders, whether that's government, international communities, companies where we contribute, travelers, civil society, or media. We all need to consider people and planet in our actions, and ESG should become part of the strategic decisions and operational demands because our economy needs to transform. With that said, I'm very eager to hand over the word to our guest today, Jan Christoph. The call to action, Sophie, I will come back to this later on. And I would love to give you the word to say to share with us your plans in the next period.
Yeah, thanks. You want to come in, Mark? No.
No, I was just nodding in agreement with Angela. So hand over to you, Jan Christoph.
Okay, thank you. Dear Angela, dear Patrick, dear Mark, dear attendees. First of all, thanks for inviting me. My name is Jan Christoph. I'm a member of the European Parliament from Germany. I'm the coordinator for the Renew Group in the Transport and Tourism Committee here in the Parliament. And so greetings from ninth floor in Brussels Parliament. Let me start like this. I think that sustainability will be continuing to be on the top of the agenda of the European Parliament. You know that in the last mandate, we worked a lot on the Green Deal, on sustainability, on the plans and the legislation, how to decarbonize the European economy, and transport is part of the European economy. And the aim is to reduce carbon emissions from transport up to 90% in 2050. So this is an important task because there are areas in transport that are hard to abate, that are complicated, where it's a question of competitiveness, of being able technically to do some of the measures, and some of the measures where it's a question of habit. I don't need to talk about cars. Everybody has its car. Everybody has a meaning, an idea about it, and it's, as a German, I can say sometimes it's very emotional, the connection to cars, to travel. And so first, I want to say it remains on the top of the agenda, but it's added by this question of competitiveness. And I must say that in the last mandate, we barely discussed about competitiveness of the European industry. We talked a lot about sustainability goals, and it is right, and it was right to do so. But sometimes we did not look at how to implement it, how it's done in practice. And there I want to say that from my opinion, we need the power of the economy, the power of players in the market to achieve those sustainability goals. And you know that we have a new commissioner in place in the transport sector. It's Mr. Tzitzikostas from Greece, who is since I think it's the first day. It's the first Monday, right? So yes. It's the first day, and he outlined an ambitious agenda. And part of this is this transformation pathway and a sustainable transport investment plan that the Commission talks about. Now the question is, what's this, and how can it help in decarbonization? But I'm a liberal, and as a liberal, I don't believe in that with state money you can fix goals of sustainability in the economy. You need the power of the market in order to achieve those goals. So for me, it's very important that we discuss how public money is spent. How can we use tools like the EIB to help investment in sustainability? But at the end, it's the power of the market that needs to go there. And there, business travel is a very, very important tool because, those who send out people to go somewhere on a business trip, they are very often from big companies, and so they are caring about the sustainability of the footprint, the CO2 carbon footprint, and of how the travel is organized. And perhaps they are not looking at the last euro that a family of 4 people is looking at when they go to holidays once a year. So I think it's business travel is a very, very important tool, a leverage that we can use in order to make travel more sustainable. And so from my point of view, competitiveness and green growth, they go hand in hand. And I want to say as well that I'm not one of those saying we need to travel less, we don't need to fly anymore, because traveling is important. I mean, it's important for business, for people to meet in person, because we're doing a webinar, but nothing is comparable to a human interaction if you're sitting face to face. So this will be needed in the future as well. And I'm a convinced European. I'm very sure that bridging the differences between people, between countries, but between businesses as well, this works via talking. And for talking, you need to meet, you need to see each other. So this is an important part. So for me, it's about green growth. And there's another tool how we can make this, how we can make travel more sustainable. This is the multimodal ticketing system, which has been proposed, which is one of the key points as well that Tsitsi Kostas mentioned, so that we can really use the right modes of transport and to combine the right modes of transport in order to travel most conveniently and the most sustainable way. Because, and that's my last point, people want to go from A to B, and if they can do it in a sustainable way, they will do it in a sustainable way. But if this sustainable way is not as convenient, as practical, or it takes much more time than the maybe less sustainable way, they will not do it for their personal travel. So I think that we need to step up in being able to combine different modes of transport in order to have the best and most convenient travel option for people. So that's perhaps in a nutshell what I wanted to say, and I'm happy to discuss with you now.
Jan Christoph, I can't agree more with you. And we know that business travel is crucial for the economy in Europe, and also we as a global player. So the accessibility of sustainable services is really crucial. We see a lot of solutions which are accessible for the private persons, but not for business travel. And we should bear in mind that when we travel, it's not the requirement of the person traveling, it's also the requirement of the company who is also regulated. So we try to really close the gap. Now, having in mind that the CO2 emission, the greenhouse gas emission, shall become as important as price, imagine we had the value of our footprint on each invoice for travel services, being that the transportation or accommodation. If we think it further, that would mean that the evaluation effort for our footprint would be reduced to the maximum. But this would also require standardized calculation methodology for transportation, but also for accommodation, and not at least the interoperability between the regulations in charge, like the CAMT emissions EU, like the flight emissions labeling, like the CSRD, and so on and so forth. What do you think about this concept, and how will you support it?
Well, Angela, I fully agree with you. And I'm a fan of emission trading system, because in ETS, the CO2 emission are lowered where the price is best. So I think with ETS becoming more and more important, we give emissions a price. And so this price will be seen at the end on the bill. But I agree with you, it's better if you see it separately, because then you understand, right? It's like knowing how much taxes you pay on a certain service when you get the bill at the end. So I agree with you that it's a question of transparency, and carbon footprint is a question of transparency as well, and therefore count emissions is very important. We will have the vote on count emissions, by the way, this week in a common ENVI-TRAN meeting. I think it's on Wednesday. And I think that we will go further than with this regulation. But I agree with you. The problem is that carbon footprint alone, if it's on the bill, mentioned on the bill, not by pricing, but only by how much CO2 emission is it, people are not so attached to it. I mean, at the end, it's the money that counts. So the pricing of the carbon emissions is important. And we see all the schemes that are existing already, where you can opt in for paying more in order to alleviate the CO2 emissions. People who are not obliged to do so most likely don't do it. So I think we need a system where emissions have a price, and then you can work with this price and you can choose the best sustainable option.
This is for sure a new dimension, thinking also about people and planet when we do business, not only on the economic perspective, but it's so crucial for our future, because the economy will only be competitive if we can really make sure that our economy is considering also this aspect. As we know, the hospitality area is currently not part of the count emissions EU regulation. So we are very active and proactive when it comes to really bring also solutions proposals. And we joined a task force which is founded by the Energy and Environment Alliance. And here we focus on the sustainability reporting and disclosure standards for the hospitality area. With this proposal, we aim to cover the investors and the customers' needs for reliable and comparable information. And we truly believe that this approach will also support to lower the reporting effort, which is currently for really a lot of companies quite a huge effort, and also to guarantee transparency at the same time. So these metrics shall be covered globally by IFRS and ISSB and should be interoperable with the CSRD. Would you support us? And if yes, how can you support us?
Yeah, thank you, Angela. I have to say first that I'm quite critical on some of the legislation that we have put in place last mandate, and CSRD is part of this. Not because I'm against sustainable reporting, but because they are covering sometimes very small companies. You know, I'm coming from Lower Saxony, which is in northern Germany. We're the home of TUI, and you cannot compare TUI with a hotel owner who has one hotel, right? So I think that we need to make sure that those standards are doable by the companies, are doable by small and medium-sized companies.
Definitely.
So this is a question of red tape. But what you mentioned, so making IFRS, ISBB then linked to CSRD, so interoperable in a way that you don't need to do it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times for the same issues. That's the point. And
right.
I think we have to work on this and see where we need to adapt this. The CSRD is quite new, quite young. So we will need to make sure that in the reviews that are foreseen for all the files, that the laws that are put in place during the Green Deal debates and discussions, that there we have a look at, okay, how can we take out a bureaucratic burden? How can we cut red tape? And there's now a new commissioner for this, who is in charge of cutting red tape. So I'm hoping that he will look into this, because, as I said at the beginning already, some of the legislation that we've put in place is implemented in a quite complicated way, and it's not always the laws. Sometimes it's only the way of implementing the laws that is complicated. So we have to look at that.
This sounds really, really good, and I can really I can confirm that CSRD had a very positive impact in the development of the demand for sustainable practices. This is really good, but we saw at the beginning that we really had a challenge to get the information we need to provide to the regulator. And very special in this framework is that in this task force, we have all stakeholders covered. We have the hospitality area, we have the investors area, we have universities and technical experts, and also the customer voice itself. I think one question I could still place, and this is really very near to my heart, because we believe that sustainability holds an immense potential of innovation, and particularly through cross-industry and cross-border collaboration. For instance, partnerships like hotel operators running a night train could really lead to more sustainable travel across Europe. So we know that there are two parties in the market knowing best of the traveler requirements and also how to connect the European cities and businesses. Does your agenda actively support the cross-industry collaboration and the cross-border collaboration? Could you provide some specific kind of initiatives?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we're working and thinking too much in silos, right? And this is the case for all of us. Let's be honest. I think the example you mentioned is something where we can work on. But at the end, it's a question of, do we have someone who has a business case? Do we have someone who wanting to invest? Because if there's not a business case, this will not work, right? So,
right.
And we need to have, especially as you mentioned, trains. It's quite a regulated market, right? And going into this market as someone who is not doing this yet can be very complicated and challenging. But I'm very open for this. Why?
And we have one example. We have Orient Express who did it.
Yeah, we have
Member of Accor Group.
We have Orient Express, but normal business travel is not working with Orient Express. I mean, I'm dreaming of taking Orient Express, but you don't do a business trip from I don't know, from Paris to Milano taking the Orient Express, right? If you're sent by your company. Well, except maybe if it's the CEO, but this is another topic. No, but just kidding. But coming back to this, yes, this can be, but need to work. And I think competition in the market and having different companies that are coming from different angle going into new markets can be very, very interesting. So I'm happy to support everything which goes into this direction. But let's be honest. I mean, I'm doing a lot of the aviation files in the European Parliament. And in aviation, there's only one solution available at the moment. These are sustainable aviation fuels. And we have the airlines, the buyers who say, yeah, we need it, but it's not available in the market. And on the other side, we have the fuel producers that say, yeah, but it's too expensive at the moment, so they're not producing, and because they don't have enough people wanting to buy it. So it's this chicken and egg issue sometimes, and sometimes we need to break this this vicious circle in order to make it to a virtuous circle, in order to be able. But for this, we need the industry to get together, and this is what I always say. If you are talking with a common voice, we in Parliament, the policymakers, will hear you. If you're divided, it's more complicated. So if there are good proposals, I'm happy to do so, and I'm an open market guy. So happy to contribute whatever I can.
Thank you so much. This is really a very good point, working together. And we know that since 30 years, there are combined tickets between airlines and rail operators. Really a great product, a product which is super perfect for our today's challenge, but it's not accessible to the business travel area. If you want to book such a ticket, it's really a nightmare. But we have no excuse. Digitalization has never been so developed like we have it today. So I'm quite confident that if we can mobilize that all stakeholders are driving into the same direction, that we will manage to close these gaps and to bring these dots, to put these dots together.
Fully agree. And if we really get a good multimodal ticketing proposal, this will be a booster from my point of view. We can then combine different modes of transport and different operators as well. At the moment, you have some airlines cooperating with the state-owned or the big incumbent railways for certain travel situations, but it's not a normal. Let's be honest, it's not a normal. I mean, some of the airports are not even connected to rail, but this is another story. But if we want to make this the new reality, the new normal, then we need really to step up in order to make those such a ticketing proposal not only a nice additional tool for some of the people, but we need to make it a big leverage where we force some of the companies in order to accept that those combinations take place.
That's really crucial, because the more tools we have to implement, the more burdens we have. Not to forget that also the data security protection, there are also so many different aspects we have in business travel to consider when we implement tools. So the more content is in one tool, the better for us. And I'm sure that the technology nowadays can really bring all of these parts together.
I know, Jan Christoph, you've got to leave us soon. You've got a very busy schedule, and we're really grateful to you for sharing your insight and your time. But before you go, if you don't mind, you set a very challenging agenda, the role of business in aligning across industry, getting out of our silos, providing clear solutions, working with you, absolutely crucial. But the business perspective on the EU agenda is obviously that it's pretty daunting. Zizi Costas' work program is huge. Your challenges are vast. What do you think? I know it's a very tough question. What do you think are going to be the priorities, though, in the next mandate? Is it MDMS? Is it leveraging private sector investment in decarbonisation solutions like cross-border rail? I think business would like to see some sort of prioritization of what the priorities will be, so we can best align our work with yours in the coming years.
I think the priority of the Commission in this mandate will be an investment agenda. And we need investment in order to make Europe more sustainable, more competitive, more resilient as well. We didn't talk about resilience, but it's, I mean, look at what's happening, I mean, on the defense area. And not only, it's a big topic. So I think it will be an investment agenda, a competitiveness agenda. And for me, this is important. As I said, I'm a liberal, so I think competitiveness is the crucial question if we want to decarbonize, because we don't want to decarbonize by having less economy, less jobs. But the contrary, I think it needs to go hand in hand. So it will be investment, competitiveness. I think this is the main task and objective for the Commission. And let's hope that they do it in a competitiveness-friendly way, and not by just thinking about public spending, because public spending will not solve the problem.
Well, that's a really clear call to action for business to respond to that challenge, to work with you to deliver that, to ensure there are tangible solutions that don't create burdens, but rather create opportunities. So we very much look forward to welcoming that opportunity to work with you for the next 5 years. You're re-elected for another term to build on your achievements in the last term, Jan Christoph. So thank you so much for your input today on this webinar. We're going to carry on the conversation with Angela to see how we can rise to that challenge. But once again, thank you so much, and we look forward to working with you in the months and years to come.
Thank you, Jan Christoph, and thank you also. I'm looking forward to support your agenda and to work together. Thank you so much for today.
Thanks, Angela. Thanks, Mark. See you soon.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. Do stay on, everyone, on this call, because I think this is the key bit for everyone joining this webinar, is to have the discussion now with Angela. We've heard pretty much an inspiring call to action there from Jan Christoph in terms of what we should do as a business community. I know, Angela, you've been working hard over recent months on the call to action for what we can all do to support BT4Europe. But maybe first of all, maybe let us know, what do you think are the next steps for BT4Europe in taking forward the transformation pathway? Bearing in mind you've got pretty much full support there, I think it would be fair to say, even if you're being completely objective, I think Jan Christoph pretty much supporting everything you're trying to achieve, Angela. Is that how you see it? And what will be the next steps for you?
For the time being, it sounds really great, but we should bear in mind we do not have yet the destination. We are just finding a common way to go, but I'm very confident and I'm really happy about what we heard today. I think it's important for us that we all lead by example, and I would really love to invite you to support us on this transformation pathway. Sophie, perhaps you could share the next slide, because I would like to show you what are our next steps. How can we support as Business Travel for Europe Sustainability Working Group? But we will not be alone. We count on you. We count on your support. As you know, within the Sustainability Working Group, we are all volunteers with deep knowledge, with experience in business travel practices. What we aim is to inspire. That means for us to spread the word, to share our learnings and vision with all stakeholders and make sure that the business travel voice is heard. To foster a constructive dialogue is in each transformation process a must. If we want solutions, we need to articulate the needs and we need to build relationships to improve services. So for the next period, we will prioritize strengthening and build the dialogue between rail operators and travel managers across Europe, because it's our goal to foster solutions that make sustainable rail travel not only accessible, but efficient and also increasingly preferred choice for our business trips. On the long term, we aim to have strategic partnerships. We aim at the advocacy work and support the innovation and research. These all are important factors to catalyze change. Coming to the advocacy part, as you have already heard, we will focus on the Country Emissions EU, what is about developing standardized methods to calculate and report emissions. Also to cover the CSRD reporting, so the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. There we will have a specific focus on the needs within the hospitality area. Then we have the flight emissions labeling, supporting a clear and consistent labeling to inform the eco-conscious choices. And last but not least, which is not only a part for the sustainability agenda, but also for the economic growth, this is the single digital booking and ticketing regulation, what we've spoken again also earlier with Jan Christoph. Last but not least, and I mentioned earlier when we asked the support of Jan Christoph, this is our third focus in hospitality area. This has a more global dimension where we are facing also well, as you know, in hospitality, we are facing this similar situation like in all other industries, that we have various approaches to make sustainability measurable and comparable, but this is not the transparency we need. So we aim to develop or to support the development of a global sustainability reporting standard for hospitality, which will contribute to more clarity. Under the leadership of the Energy and Environment Alliance, as mentioned earlier, has been established a task force on hotels and lodging. And as part of this task force, our role as Sustainability Working Group of BT4Europe, we will have an active role to represent the business travel voice. This is the first time that such a task force really include all parts of the stakeholders of the area we need to improve, and this is really remarkable. And I would also like to give you a bit more outline how this will go how we will implement this and how we will work together. Most important also to know that these sustainability standards and benchmarks and financial performance metrics will be aligned internationally with the IASB, with IFRS and ISSB, and not at least to be interoperable with the CSRD, with the Corporate Sustainability Directive. We are currently now in a pre-consultation phase, so we here involve a global outreach to build awareness, gather information, initial feedback. So if you have something in mind that you mean that it is important, just let us know. We will put together all this information, and we include in these face-to-face meetings. We support roundtables, but also other interactions to frame the consultation scope and identify the key issues. I would also like to invite you to stay tuned with your national business travel associations and BT4Europe, because in the period of May till July of the next year, we will have a public consultation period where we will also share with you an online platform where we will ask you to give us feedback in written. Please support these initiatives. It is our chance to make the voice of business travel heard.
Thank you so much, Angela. It was a really clear call to action, but also incredibly bold and ambitious. You're going to have a very, very busy 2025, but as you say, you can only deliver it not just with the support of great MEPs like Jan Christoph Oetjen and his colleagues, but with and by the business community itself delivering, including national business associations. We have a few minutes for any questions or comments from the audience, but also I know, Angela, they can contact us on our website, BT4Europe.com. If you want to contact you directly, they can contact you, leaving a comment on that website. But we have a question already. I think it's, if I can get the name, I'm sure Sophie can bring a colleague in. I think it's Emma, if you're able to join us to ask your question. Otherwise, do put your question in the chat, and we will try and take it if that's okay. So, Emma, please put your question in the chat if we can't bring you in on the call. Otherwise, we will. I think it's Emmanuel. Sorry, can't quite read it on the screen. But whilst we're waiting for them to come in with their question, Angela. So what is the absolute next step for BT4Europe and for something tangible that people on the call can do in readiness for 2025? What's the best single thing they can do to prepare? You had a list of initiatives there. Counter emissions, for example, will be going live very soon. The negotiations beginning between the European Parliament, as Jan Christoph said, and the member states. Is that something people should get stuck into, or should they be looking further ahead to CSRD? Because I think it's about finding priorities where people can make a tangible difference would really help.
I think to wait until the regulation is in place is the wrong way. We need to make the steps we can achieve. We can achieve with little steps, long journeys. So whatever is your role in your company, use the sphere of influence you have to make the next step in your sustainability transformation pathway. I can confirm when you decide to implement sustainability in your company, it's not said that your priority is everybody's priority. This takes time, this needs dialogue, this needs clarification, and this needs support of all stakeholders, being that the controlling area, being that the management, being that HR, but also your external partner. And so important it is that you do not wait until you get the order to put sustainability on your agenda. This is something all of us can drive. It's something all of us can improve the demand and improve this transformation pathway. I have to admit, it's not always easy. It takes time because not immediately you will see the effect, but it's worth, because on long term you see the success. And on long term, we all together, we will become better and better, and we will have better and better services. So the demand is so crucial. And we should not forget that we are talking about business travel, where it's about traveling, where it's about people, where it's about connections. and this is very emotional. We should not forget that people also have expectations. The civil society has definitely an expectation to the companies. So the way you act in business travel, the way you support business travel to become greener, the better you reflect the values of your company to the employees, to your colleagues.
Well, thanks, actually, very inspiring, but also very, very clear. Don't wait for regulation. You can act in tune with your values to deliver tangible differences. We've actually had a very good question in terms of taking action, but the need to take action together collectively. The question, thank you very much, Peter, for this in the chat, is, hi, Mark and Angela. Is BT4Europe working together with organizations like GBTA, TAMS, GSTC, who are all working on some global standards for business travel? Angela, tell us about the need to work together with other like-minded organizations, if you don't mind sharing what you are doing.
Yes. First of all, it's not only about the task, it's about the intention. And we all have the same intention. We are aligned, we work together, we exchange our opinions and also the positions on the topics. And I'm so happy that we are not the only one in BT4Europe working on this agenda, because the more stakeholders have the same requirements, the more we can move forward. There is no concurrency. And talking about sustainability, this is something it's related to our global topic, and not it's not part of a country or only Europe.
So it's clear you want to work together, reinforce each other's, and indeed complement each other's actions and activities. I mean, yours is obviously very focused on the EU level, although you are working internationally on the hospitality standard. But I guess, again, it's a challenge for everyone to try and keep in touch, keep aligned. These webinars are part of it. This is our third webinar this year. So I'm sure there'll be more next year, Angela, to ensure everyone is aware what BT4Europe is doing. But thanks to Peter for that question on the need for all the organizations to align and work together. I mean, another example, Angela, I know a subject dear to your heart as well, is MDMS. Clearly, Jan Christoph is very keen to push that. I know BT4Europe and others have been very active on the Friends of MDMS. And I guess that's another example of people trying to work collaboratively together.
Yes. MDMS, we will get more support also from Lotten, who will drive the working group economic growth, and she will have this main focus on that, but we will work strong with her together, put also the sustainability perspective on it. It will be a very crucial part, having the entire content accessible to the companies.
Yeah,
it takes at the moment really a lot of effort and time, and we all know that we need to leave also efficiency in our daily business to be also on the operational part very effective and not only cost conscious, but also to provide the best services. And for me, best services means this implies that sustainable practices are included.
Yeah,
because this is the way forward.
That's very helpful. Well, you've got a very daunting, busy, but inspiring agenda ahead of you. The Commission's work programme, I suspect, will come out in a matter of days or within just a couple of weeks, that will give us fresh challenges, but also opportunities to drive forward this agenda. So we look forward to working with everyone on the call and beyond. We've had a tremendous response today. I want to thank everyone for making this call possible, not least, of course, Jan Christoph Oetjen, MEP, who we look forward to working with him and his colleagues, and obviously Patrick Diemer, the chair. Yourself, Angela, and all your colleagues at BT4Europe. But a final word from you before we close the webinar, in terms of what are the key takeaways from this call, and what are you going to be focused on personally as we approach 2025?
Don't wait until you get an order to do it. Inspire. Spread the word about the transformation pathway. And do whatever you can to grow, and do whatever you can to inspire others to grow, so that we stay in the dialogue and also break up these patterns that in the industry, we don't talk to each other. We just do this in the silent room, and then we, surprise, everything will be good. No, we need to collaborate. We need to be constructive in our dialogue and work together for the best.
Well, that's very clear. Thank you for that. I mean, I know you do that. You regularly come to Brussels to meet organizations, and I think there's very much an open invitation there. When you're next in Brussels, BT4Europe wants to meet partners and organizations that share its objectives, and I'm sure that's something that we can arrange. Do contact us through the BT4Europe website, bt4europe.com. The transportation pathway, Angela, I believe is on there. You can look at it. You can learn more from it. And obviously that's a key gateway to learning more about your priorities for 2025. So thank you, Angela. Thank you, BT4Europe. It's been an honor moderating this very timely and important webinar. Just, I think, as Jan Otkin said, I think it's the first working day of this new European Commission. We're all looking forward to the next 5 years. We all look forward to working together and driving forward sustainability and competitiveness. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you very much. Stay tuned with us.
Thank you. Goodbye.